Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2 Finale, Second Coming. Now, this show has the craziest, I don't know if they're going to do this for the entire series or what, but they have, the craziest pattern of season, it's only 2 seasons, but episode before the season finale, hey, we're back at the cabin, look at all this stuff, here's some references to the old film, here's some images, from the old film, and then season finale, here's some more stuff from the old films, some cool references here, here's some just craziness, bloodiness is like every episode, and then crazy abrupt happy ending, and it's just like, poof, everything's fantastic, and that's it. And it's so crazy watching this show, and seeing this final episode where, much like in the last season, they do stuff where it's like, I did not expect that to happen. So first off, technically, they do kill Ruby. So they have future Ruby, or I guess present day Ruby, is actually killed by her previous self. She is mortal, and she actually ends up, flat out being decapitated. She is destroyed, and that is it. So she's killed, and it's like, holy crap. Excuse me, they just killed off Ruby. So Ruby is dead. Pablo is dead, because we find out that him being revived was actually Baal hiding within his dead body, and then even, he's basically the Baal of the present, and he goes back in time because he's within Pablo's body, and so he gets revived technically, and he splits the body, and he opens it up, and it's him, and it's insane. And then they go through all this madness. So it starts off kind of simple. So Ash is dealing with Henrietta, and sadly, the first, I think it was the first 3 minutes of the episode, 2 people died, and neither of them I really expected. So the young girl, she gets pulled, much like the film, she gets tripped on the stairs, but she gets pulled into the steps. She explodes. She's, Ash is now alone because she got eviscerated. The professor, he gets in the car, he starts it up, he turns around, he screams, boom, he explodes basically. He's dead inside the car as well. So that's how the episode starts. Both of them get killed off instantly. Ash is fighting Henrietta. She does some of the same things, like I said, where they reference the movie. When she transforms and her face changes and stuff, I was like, that's great, because that's her from the old film. So that was awesome. And Ash is dealing with that, and all the nasty stuff with the breast milk, which was gross, and her trying to squash him and things like that. And he finally gets the chainsaw going, and he rips the head off and everything. So he deals with her. Then he goes upstairs, and it's like, oh, here is the other version of Ruby. Once he finally gets up there, Kelly and both versions of Ruby are there. So they have to deal with all of this, and it's like, all right, well, current Ruby has to fight her former self, because her former self basically decides to remain a villain. So Ruby sacrifices herself as Ash and Kelly get out. They believe that they rescue Pablo, and it's like, alright, let's get the heck out of here. They find out it's Baal, and then a bunch of chaos again. And for whatever reason, Ash and Baal have a crazy, hand-to-hand combat fight, which made no sense whatsoever. And it was just weird. I was like, I can't believe Baal agreed to this. And for the most part, the first part of that fight, the first half, was just a hand-to-hand fight. It was really crazy because they were throwing each other through the walls and stuff. So it was actually kind of entertaining to watch, because they were just destroying the cabin, flying through the walls, and knocking the windows out and stuff. And then Baal decides to switch things up, of course, and he cheats a little bit, and he starts to switch into other people. And so it starts off where we have a hand-to-hand fight, literally 2 hands, because Ash's hand comes back because they changed history, which was one of the weird things about the episode, because it was they changed this, and they changed this thing, but this other stuff within, the time frame, literally everything happening should have changed. If Pablo came back, well, Pablo was a part of the deal, but Ash getting his hand back, that was a weird step, because that's second movie type stuff. And then wait, there are a million other things that should have changed, but of course, you pick and choose. Typically when people make TV shows and there's time travel involved, they kind of pick and choose what does and does not get changed. So they chose to do the hand thing, and when Chet comes into play, sends Ash into the piano, and that was another reference. I believe that was I want to say that was a reference to Army of Darkness, like when all the piano keys kind of hit him in the face at once. I'm pretty sure that was a reference to Army of Darkness. I'm pretty sure it was when he was like picking up the book, or he was trying to figure out which book was the real Necronomicon. And I'm trying to remember exactly. I can't remember how the scene played out, but I believe it was that scene that it was referencing. And the keys, like it was like a bunch of hands like hit him in the face and stuff at one time. So I believe that was supposed to be that reference a little bit. I mean, obviously it was just piano keys hitting him at once, but it like as soon as I saw that where they all hit him, I was like, that makes me think of Army of Darkness. So I believe that was the reference. And then right after that, Chet grabs Ash's hand and he chops it off with the chainsaw, or he saws it off, I guess. I mean, he just sliced through that thing, and it was crazy. I was like, I can't. Honestly, it surprised me because I didn't think they were actually going to do that. I thought, oh, he'll get out of this at the last second, and maybe something will happen where they go through time and, you know, they fix this and they fix that, but he still ends up losing the hand or whatever. I didn't think it would be like, yeah, he has both his hands. And then here comes Baal as Chet, and he just cuts that bad boy clean off again. I was just like, holy crap, he just took it off. He just took it away. Fortunately, Ash's dad does come into play, and they make this reference. This is the second time they did it. I thought we were going to get an actual answer, but we still don't know what the heck it is. So whatever Ash's dad was going to tell him, like this big secret, it's still up in the air. So I'm assuming that's some season 3 stuff that'll get revealed to us. Maybe about his mother or something extra, who knows. But it turns out to be the actual spirit of Ash's father, and when he like drowns him and stuff and Baal shows up, his body kind of turns into the chainsaw, and so he helps him out. So they have a crazy chainsaw duel, which I actually loved. And they're fighting each other, and it's just insanity. And Kelly's actually dealing with Ruby this entire time, where Ruby is actually trying to help Kelly by saying like, hey, why don't we team up? And they reference the first episode, or maybe it was the second episode, I believe, where Kelly saw like the dark version of herself, where it's like, you know, you're stronger than Ash. And I mentioned, I believe it was in that episode, they had two big references to both Kelly and Pablo. And for Pablo, it was that maybe something's going on where he, you know, bonds more with the Necronomicon, which was like the whole crux of the season. But maybe this stuff with a darker version of Kelly, where she goes out on her own, maybe they're saving that for season 3, because they kind of hinted at it a little bit in this season, mostly because of Ruby. And she's like, you know, why don't you forge your own path, and why don't we team up to do what we want to do? And that's how they ended up, you know, in that one episode when it was the two of them by themselves, and Ash was doing his own thing. So they hinted at it a little bit this season, but I feel like they brought it up again, like the exact lines too, because they're saving that for a storyline once again in season 3. So I thought that was cool. I was like, alright, it seems like they're referencing something that we still didn't get like a full development on in this season. So that's easily a storyline that they could pick up for season 3 if they decide to do. Maybe it won't be, you know, as crazy as, oh, Kelly becomes evil or anything. It could just be that she decides she's not going to deal with Ash and Pablo. She just decides, you know, I can do this. I'm more capable than the two of you even together. So I'm going to go out on my own, and, you know, it's just something that comes from that. So I'm excited to see if they decide to, you know, really go along with that and kind of pick up kind of solo Kelly sort of storyline in season 3. But the way it all plays out is just nuts. And Ruby is pretty cool for what she did, because it's like, alright, ultimately Baal lost, even if she didn't alter the deal. Baal was the loser, and Ash tricks him at the end, and he splits him open, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, he stabs him with his own nail, and then he like splits him straight up, and I was like, I didn't know he was going to do that. I thought he was just going to like slice his stomach open, but he splits him straight up, and then it gets super cool. I mean, it's kind of, it's gross depending on, you know, if you can't handle it, but I thought the effects were kind of phenomenal when they did that. And Ruby kind of basically is like, you know, this is what's happening, this is the deal, so you have to honor it. But I altered it for myself, and the skin like rips off a Baal, and it's like a body like burning and stuff. I was like, this is actually like some really great special effects makeup. I thought it just looked phenomenal. I was like, this is insane. And sorry about that, but it makes me wonder, like, how long did that take for them to do? Like, they kind of did it before with like the fake bodies, where it still looks like a full human body, and it's kind of like just a dummy body. But that was like clearly a person in a costume, but it still looked like meat. and it was just like, holy crap, that was just some good stuff. Like, those, good special effects there. So I love the way they did that, and it's, practical, practical as well as digital special effects in there. But I just thought it looked great. I was like, this is fairly intense. That was pretty insane. So they go through, and this was the part where I was like, this is where everything should literally change. But of course, the entire cabin explodes. I'm like, there's no book or anything like that. All this stuff should be done. Like, nothing should exist at this point as far as, the Deadites and stuff. But of course, big explosion. Pablo comes out of the ground, which is a funny scene, of course, because Ash is like, I had to kind of make sure. But they're just driving, and then poof, huge celebration. I like when it first happened. I was like, are they still in the '80s or what's happening? Because it just cuts. It just like in the season finale for the first season, they have the deal, and there's no real explanation as to what happened. It just cuts to them in the car, and I still remember when I first saw the first season finale, I was like, oh, this is like a dream sequence that Ash is having, because it just cut so abruptly. And it was like the same thing. It was like, alright, we got Pablo back. Boom, parade and everything, and everybody celebrating Ash and stuff. And I just thought it was so funny. And he sees like the spirit of his dad, his sister, and his buddy. And, he's like, I'm going to stay here and stuff like that. And it's interesting because despite the fact that we technically lost Ruby, we still have Ruby. So we have the '80s Ruby now jumping forward in time, and now she's in the present with the rest of the characters. So it's still going to be our quartet, but I'm actually excited to see what they do with this. And it's still going to be weird, because especially if they do the blonde hairstyle, and I feel like that's what they were referencing, like, this is going to be your hairstyle now for season 3. It's another Ruby. It's so weird, because it's like, it's Ruby, but she killed her former self. Like, that other Ruby that we knew is dead. Like, she is officially dead and gone. And this is a different version of Ruby from the past. And it's so weird. It's like, it's the same person, but it's not. She won't have those memories of anything they went through, because she didn't go through either of the first 2 seasons. She just skipped ahead, and now she's season 3 Ruby. So I don't know how they're going to do this, but I am very excited. And then, of course, the way they ended, which I love the way they did this, because I was just listening to the music, I was doing whatever, and then the music changes for the ending theme. For any of you who may have skipped it, like during the credits, there's another sequence that shows up after the ending credits. So the music's playing and stuff, and then it starts to get warped. And so it's like the happy theme in the music, and then it starts to slow down, and it gets warped, and it gets creepy. And then you hear some wind blowing and stuff, and it goes to a sequence in the woods. And it's going through the woods, and you see the car that the professor died in. And next to the car, like it's like the front passenger tire, the Necronomicon is under some dirt. And all you hear is like this random girl say, hey, look what I found. And she brushes it off, and she picks up the Necronomicon. And it was like the most evil version of Jumanji that you could possibly imagine. So some random person, they sounded fairly young. It sounded like it was actually a kid to me, but it was just like just a girl's voice. So she could have actually been an adult, but it sounded like a kid to me. And they just pick up the Necronomicon. So I have no idea where they're headed for season 3, but I'm actually very excited. I can't wait to see what they do with this, and how this random person finding the Necronomicon is going to have such an intense effect on everything that's happening. But I love this season. I love what they did with Pablo. I'm hoping that what they did with Pablo is what they do with Kelly in the next season. Well, not with her turning evil or anything, but her having like a really big developmental change as a character, where it's just a drastic shift. It can't be as drastic as she becomes, the Necronomicon or anything, but I'd like to see her have her own kind of solo arc within the next season. I think that would just be cool, and it would just change the dynamic so much of the series in general if she took off, like, I'm tired of you guys because I can do this better on my own, that sort of thing. So I am very excited to see where they go in season 3, but as abrupt and as ridiculous as this was, with them having a fist fight and then poof, happy parade and stuff, definitely an awesome season 2 finale. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, I want to know what you guys feel about the whole time travel dynamic of this episode. Them killing off the present version of Ruby and now replacing her with the 80s version who, doesn't have a recollection of anything that the character Ruby did, throughout the entire series. And of course, whether you saw the sequence or not, the sequence I explained with a random person finding the Necronomicon, I would love to know where you guys think that's going to lead us in Season 3. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.